we're gonna tie the HØTYVEN or the Pitchfork, a Seatrout pattern of Troels Kaa, one of my personal friends. And this is a fly that's really proved its worth in the fall here in Denmark. This fly has caught an immense amount of sea trouts, and I don't blame it, because it really has some of the things that makes a good sea trout fly for the autumn. It's unweighted, so you can fish it relatively slow. On an intermediate line, it has a really nice hover. You have some rubber legs and some flash, and not that much color. And it's really been proven out here on the coast, and I think it's gonna be the pedigrees of 2022, and it's relatively easy to tie. So stay tuned. We're gonna tie the HØTYVEN. So here we go, let's tie the HØTYVEN. The first thing we're gonna use here is a hook, and this is the Eric's light stringer in size 4. I think the light stringer has become more or less the go-to hook for coastal fishing here in Denmark. After some years, it's a really great, sharp and reliable hook, I think. And we're gonna start out with a white thread. I'm using a VISES GSP thread because I like a thinner, stronger thread, but you can use whatever you have available. We're gonna finish it off with an orange thread at the eye anyway, so dealer's choice. So I'm gonna take this thread and I'm gonna lay a little layer of thread and stop right when the hook is going down to the hook bends. I'm gonna make a little double to secure the thread there and cut it off. So the first thing we're gonna make is the orange tag, and I'm just gonna use some SLF dubbing in orange. I'm gonna make quite a big ball down here, because when we're tying shrimps, one of the most efficient way of getting the real taper of the fly is starting big and finish small. And by experience, I must say that the bigger the better. No, it's up to you, of course, but I make quite a big butt here of the orange dubbing because I need something to lift all these materials. I'm gonna have rubber legs, I'm gonna have flash, I'm gonna have eyes and everything. And the further away from the hook bed I can get my materials, the more efficient I can fish the fly, I guess. And in addition to this, I'm just gonna take a little bit more of this orange dubbing here and gonna make a little dubbing sausage here and just pull it out to have all the fibers the same orientation. And I'm just gonna put this on top like a little tag, just to have a little more of the orange color into the tail here. And I can actually just take my dubbing brush here and just give this a little bit of violence, like that. If it's a little long, just snip it a little bit off with the scissor here, or just pluck it off. So, then we're gonna take some eyes. I don't have any more eyes, Daniel. Oh. Do we have more? Oh, express delivery. And I'm going to use the Easy Shrimp eyes in the small size. And this is a really nice size for these flies, and especially for shrimp flies, because they don't make up quite as much room as the big ones, but then again, they're much easier to tie in. There's not as much material you have to find room for in your fly. So it's a little bit easier to make these eyes disappear into the fly. I'm gonna make sure, I'm just gonna take them a little bit further back actually. Making sure that this V, where the eyes meet, is pushed up against this wing right here. Like that. Much better, much better. And I'm just gonna take down the tack here because this is a fairly big fly and this is a small piece of material. And also this is gonna help my tapering of my fly. Like so. And then I'm gonna put in a little bit of flash, and this is just a flasher bow. This is a dual colored flash. And the creator of this fly, Troels Kaa, has dictated that this has to be 4 pieces of flash, 2 pieces of orange, and 2 pieces of opal. So I'm gonna do my best here to get that. Like so. And I'm just gonna, I don't wanna worry about the lengths. I'm gonna cut it to lengths after I finish the flies. I'm just gonna put this on top here. Trying to make sure that I get a little bit of space in between these individual strands of flash, because flash has a tendency to clump together if it's bundled up too much. And it might look a little bit crazy, but this is the way you do it in order to make these fibers merge into your fly instead of just making a little bit of a strand. Like so. And then I'm gonna take a rubber leg. I'm gonna use a round rubber leg in orange. You can use flat orange leg, you could use barred or rubber legs, whatever you have at hand. The reason we're using round is because they're a little bit more stiff. So again, this is gonna minimize the risk of this rubber leg going into the hook bed when you're casting your fly. I'm just gonna tie this in at the middle here. Again, I'm gonna adjust the lengths later. Just gonna make sure this goes on top here. And then when I've tied it in, I can actually adjust it a little bit just by pulling it because it's so flexible. And then I'm gonna tie it down. Like that. And then I'm gonna take the same feather I'm just gonna do the hackles with, but I'm just gonna take one of the big ones that doesn't really go for anything else. Because I'm just gonna use a bit of the fibers to make a little bit of a, what do you call it? Forehead form on the shrimp. This part up here is gonna be a little bit more dense than the rest of the fly, again to really highlight the shrimp profile of the fly. So I'm just gonna take the bigger parts of this ginger feather down here, the softer parts, and I'm just gonna pull away and make a little bundle. Take some more here. Like so. And I'm just gonna tie it in approximately the length of the hook shank here. Just between the eyes. And tie it down. And in order to preserve our taper here, we're just gonna take this material forward, place your scissor on the eye, angling it backwards, and just cut off like that. And then you're gonna tie in this rest of the material, not with too much force, because then the material is just gonna stand up. So just go softly here, and then you can see I'm actually staying tapered here, like so. Good. Then I'm gonna tie in my hackle, and you can use any ginger, brown, rooster hackle you have available. I'm just gonna take off the fluff at the bottom here. The hackle fibers is approximately, again, the length of the hook shank. And I'm gonna tie it in with the shiny side out. So I'm just gonna test here, see the angle of the feather, and you can see it has a natural bend this way. If I do like this, it's gonna stand up. So I'm gonna tie it in like this, and on the side of the fly, like so. Again, just use the length of the stem here to create some body. The one thing I can tell you about this fly is that you're actually gonna use more dubbing than you think you are, because this fly is really dense, and you're gonna have some dubbing to pull out in between these hackle fibers. Otherwise, you're gonna end up with a fly that's a little bit sparse. If that's your style, peace be with it. You can do that. But if you want to tie it like Troels does and Daniel does, you're really gonna have a shitload of dubbing on this. And this is the STF dub in a light tan. And I'm just gonna take out a bundle here. And the way to do this the right way is just spinning it on the thread. And I'm just gonna take my bundle here and placing it underneath the thread, and like you spin yarns in the old days, and just gonna start twining on. And only do it one way. If you do it both ways, you're just gonna untwine when you just twine. So, making a little bit of a rope here. You can always add more. Don't twine it too fast, or you're just gonna have a problem taking out these fibers in between the hackles later. So actually a little bit of a loose dub here is preferable. And I'm just gonna start at the eye here, and just gonna put this on. A little bit more. Remember, if you put too much on, you can always pluck something off when you brush the fly. It's better to go that way. And there we go. Then we're gonna have to take my hackle pliers, if I could find them. I'm gonna take, there they are. And I'm just gonna make 4 or 6 turns, between 4 and 6 turns, depending on the size of the fly and how dense you want your hackle. I'm gonna stand it up, and I'm gonna take a little bit of saliva on my fingers and just take these fibers and just, before I start winding it, just put them back. This is gonna make it so much easier when you're in the mix here. And I'm just gonna start. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Don't mix too much of these hackles in at the eye here, because you're just gonna make a bunch of fibers that's just gonna stand up when you make the head. And then tie it off. Cut it. Again, a little bit of saliva on your fingers, pull back all the hackle fibers to make sure none of them are standing forward. And just put a little bit of leather thread here. Like so. I'm just gonna make my whip finish now. Like that. And then we're gonna take our hackle brush, dubbing brush. I prefer one that's made out of steel. You can have different kinds of variations. I don't think this is really gonna work with a toothbrush, because you're really gonna violate this fly immensely. So something that's a little more stiff is gonna make an easy process out of this. But you can also just take a needle and just start pulling out. And you're just gonna pull out as much as you think is needed. Don't worry about the hackle fibers getting all crumbled up. This is part of the fly design. And then we're gonna brush them back in a minute to maintain the fur of this shape of the fly. You see here now, we're gonna getting all this lovely dubbing out into the fly instead of at the body, while still maintaining the shape of the fly. Like that. I'm gonna take my orange thread here and just make a little layer for her head without taking the hackle fiber forward, like that. Another whip finish. Oh, that was a nice sound. Just a little bit of varnish. There we go. The HØTYVEN, or the pitchfork, or whatever you want to call it. I'm just gonna adjust this flash a little bit. Again, approximately the length of the fly here. Just gonna bundle them up here. And I'm just gonna cut them at an angle in different lengths, like so. Same thing goes for the rubber legs. Don't have them the exact same length. Just gonna there and there. If I can, there. Oh. And there we go. So there we go, the HØTYVEN, or the pitchfork, or whatever you want to call it. A brilliant fly by Troels. A real sea trout killer, and a fly that's really been proven out on the coast in this fall. You can of course find the material kit on NordicAngler.com, and we have it in the description of the video as well. Remember to subscribe and stay tuned for more videos. We're gonna go fish with these. So tomorrow actually. So thank you for watching, guys, and we'll see you in the next one.
Good luck out on the water.